Hello guys, I'm Tom, and today we're going to take a look at who Rudy really is. There are creatures that earn their place in the pantheon of animated monsters, not just because of their terrifying appearance, but because of everything they symbolize. These are entities that transcend mere digital design to become icons of the collective imagination. And among all of them, one colossal, almost mythological figure stands out, commanding respect with every step it takes. Rudy, the massive and pale Baryonyx that dwells in the depths of the mysterious underground world revealed in Ice Age, Dawn of the Dinosaurs. We're not talking about just another computer-generated dinosaur. Rudy isn't just another villain in a kid's movie. He is a living symbol of chaos, an embodiment of constant threat, a predator of epic proportions who combines ferocity, cunning, and killer instinct. Every time he appears on screen, the entire atmosphere shifts. The tone of the story becomes darker, more intense, because Rudy doesn't just occupy space, he dominates it. He is the ultimate antagonist, not because he has some evil plan, but because his mere existence is a death sentence for anyone who crosses his path. From the very beginning, it's clear that Rudy is more than just an animal. He is a force of nature, a perfect hunting machine that has survived and evolved in one of the most hostile and inaccessible ecosystems on the planet. A silent, ruthless predator that patrols his territory like a pale, tireless ghost. But like every great monster, he needs a counterpart. And in this case, his nemesis is Buck, a weasel as daring as he is insane, who has made hunting Rudy his life's mission. This rivalry is not just a simple clash between predator and prey. It's a battle of wills, a prolonged war between two survivors, a wild dance where the roles of hunter and hunted shift unpredictably. This enmity, marked by pain and obsession, becomes the heart of a story that oscillates between adventure and horror. Rudy is so memorable and powerful that he can easily be compared to other animated legends like the relentless carnivores from Dinosaur or the terrifying Sharptooth from The Land Before Time. But even among those titans, Rudy manages to stand out thanks to his unique design, his narrative role, and his overwhelming presence. And that's why in this video, we're diving deep into the analysis and story of Rudy. We'll explore his possible origins within the Ice Age universe, his symbolism as an antagonist, his visual design, his abilities, and, of course, what makes him such an unforgettable monster. Within the mythology of Ice Age, there's a fascinating premise. Many of the dinosaurs that supposedly went extinct during the glacial era actually survived, hidden in a vast underground ecosystem, isolated from the icy surface world. This explains why neither Manny, Sid, nor Diego had encountered such creatures. Until now, this hidden world is a natural refuge, a time capsule beneath the earth, where Jurassic life continues to evolve in secret. A primitive paradise filled with lush vegetation, crystal caves, colossal beasts, and unpredictable dangers. And it's here that Rudy reigns as the apex predator. From his earliest days, Rudy became a living legend. His mere presence was enough to strike fear into the hearts of the underground dwellers. He was the threat lurking in the shadows, the monster everyone feared but no one could stop. His intelligence and instincts made him more than just an animal. They made him a legend. Rudy's first appearance in the film is as shocking as it is revealing. Buck, after accidentally falling into this lost world, is ambushed in brutal fashion. From the foliage bursts Rudy, moving with a speed and aggression that defy his size, and in an instant, he rips out Buck's eye, leaving him permanently marked. But Buck doesn't fall. He clings to life and escapes however he can, climbing a seemingly endless giant tree. Rudy follows. He chases Buck even into the heights. In a desperate move, Buck escapes through Rudy's throat and takes one of his fangs, not as a trophy of victory, but as a constant reminder of his enemy and the day he almost died. That fang becomes his spear, his symbol of resistance, and the emblem of his obsession. From that moment on, the two are bound. Rudy hunts with the tenacity of a predator, and Buck pursues him with the resolve of a warrior who hasn't yet finished the battle. Later on, when Sid goes missing after being taken by Mama Rex, the main characters enter the underground world for the first time, and Rudy, like a hungry shadow, begins to hunt again. He slinks between foliage and rocks, picks up their scent, and like a meticulous predator, starts tracking them, especially Sid. In a pivotal moment, Rudy causes the collapse of a geological zone known as the Plates of Woe, triggering a landslide and unleashing a river of lava. This event not only showcases his immense power, but cements him as a true agent of natural chaos. Wherever Rudy walks, the world trembles. And what's most unsettling is that for much of the film, Rudy is never fully seen. His presence is only suggested. It's felt. It's heard. The sound design, the silences, the whispers in the vegetation, everything is carefully crafted to make the viewer feel that something terrifying is lurking. Rudy is the classic monster in the shadows, an unseen threat that becomes even more terrifying the less it's revealed. But in the climax of the film, he is finally unveiled. Rudy ambushes the group as they're about to escape the underground world. With a roar that shakes the walls, he reveals himself in all his glory, a massive, scarred creature, eyes locked onto Buck. And in that moment, Buck realizes it's time to end this cycle of violence. Armed with the fang he once tore from Rudy's mouth, Buck confronts his enemy. The battle is epic, brutal, almost poetic. Rudy seizes Buck in his claws and prepares to devour him. But Diego intervenes just in time. With the help of a swarm of insects and the cooperation of the group, they manage to bring Rudy down and tie him up with thick vines. But even then, the danger isn't over. In a fatal twist, Sid accidentally breaks the vines and Rudy breaks free. Enraged, he charges directly at the group, ready to annihilate them, until Mama Rex appears and stops him with even greater force. The clash between these two titans ends with Rudy falling into the abyss. His roar fades into the distance, as if the monster had finally been vanquished. But Ice Age, continental drift, makes it clear that Rudy is still alive. And for Buck, that news is a strange sort of relief, because without his enemy, life would have no purpose. That rivalry, so intense and dangerous, has evolved into something more complex. It's no longer just hate. It's respect, it's necessity, it's shared history. And in his brief appearance in Ice Age, Continental Drift, we see them together once again. Buck, in a scene as surreal as it is hilarious, is riding Rudy like a steed. Rudy, visibly annoyed, doesn't stop him. And that gesture, more than any words, shows that something new has emerged between them. They are no longer just enemies. They are two forces that need each other to exist. After all the events that shaped his story, Ice Age, Continental Drift gives us what, for many fans, is more than just a simple scene. It's a hidden gem within the usual chaos that follows Scrat. Amid his typical chain of disasters caused by his obsession with the acorn, fate, or sheer coincidence, leads him to cross paths with two figures who, although briefly, marked one of the most intense and darkest chapters of the saga, Buck and Rudy. The sequence is as unexpected as it is meaningful. Without warning, Buck appears riding Rudy as if he were his personal steed, galloping on his back, as though the monster that once took his eye were now a tame means of transport. But of course, nothing could be further from the truth. Rudy doesn't hide his absolute displeasure. His face, his growls, and his rigid body convey a mix of resignation, irritation, and animal restraint on the verge of snapping. What we witness is not just a visual gag. It's a scene loaded with symbolism, a living metaphor for the closing of a cycle. The hunter and the hunted, now in a tense truce, sharing the screen in one of the most subtle and double-edged farewells the franchise has ever offered. This brief appearance serves as a metaphorical conclusion to Rudy's arc. He doesn't need to say a word, because he can't, and because he doesn't have to, for us to understand that his story with Buck has reached a new phase. Not necessarily an end, but a pause, a tense coexistence, where respect has, at least momentarily, replaced the need to destroy one another. And now that we've gone through his entire chronological story, from his origins as the most feared beast of the underground world, to this curious and unexpected reappearance, it's time to go beyond canon, to cross the boundary of the official narrative and step into that fascinating and speculative territory where collective creativity thrives. Fan theories. Because yes, although none of these theories have been confirmed by the creators of the saga, many have gained traction in online communities, forums, social media, and fan analyses. And some, in fact, offer such emotionally powerful interpretations that they're hard to ignore. One of the most widespread, though without a known author, proposes a much more tragic origin for Rudy. In this alternative version, Rudy wasn't born a bloodthirsty creature with an insatiable thirst for violence. In reality, his story begins in a small corner of the underground world, alongside his parents, two adult Baryonyx who lived peacefully, far from other predators. But that peace was shattered by the arrival of an imposing, cruel, and territorial Tyrannosaurus. According to the theory, this T-Rex was once the mate of Mama Rex, and upon realizing that the female no longer belonged to him, a classic motivation in many real animal behaviors, he flew into a blind rage. In his attack, he wiped out Rudy's clan, devouring or killing his parents, while the young Baryonyx barely managed to escape, wounded and hiding deep within the prehistoric jungle. That moment marked a before and after in his life. It was his foundational trauma, the birth of the monster. Pain, loss, and helplessness planted a silent rage within Rudy that grew over time, mutating, hardening his character, turning him not only into a dangerous creature, but into an intelligent, strategic, and ruthless predator. He no longer hunted out of hunger. He hunted to survive, out of hatred, for a revenge that slowly simmered. The theory continues by stating that Rudy, now an adult and much larger than usual, eventually found the T-Rex who destroyed his world, and he faced him. In a brutal, final battle, Rudy not only defeated him, he devoured him. He devoured the killer of his parents, and in doing so, drove Mama Rex out of that territory, asserting his dominance and ending all competition. This version would explain why, in Ice Age, Dawn of the Dinosaurs, every time Rudy roars or approaches, Mama Rex completely disappears. She doesn't confront him. She doesn't challenge him. She simply retreats. She knows exactly who Rudy is and what happened between them. Although this theory lacks official confirmation, its symbolic power is so strong that it adds a new dimension to the character. He would no longer be just a monster, but a victim of circumstance, an orphan marked by tragedy who became the king of the abyss. Another theory, more focused on biology, offers an explanation rooted in adaptive evolution. It suggests that Rudy didn't just survive in the underground world, but like other dinosaurs in that region, underwent radical evolution due to isolation. In a closed environment with exotic food sources, extreme temperatures, and no superior predators, Rudy would have developed unique physical traits, similar to what we see in creatures like the skull crawlers from the Monsterverse or even species from the Hollow Earth. His massive size, his pale coloration, his physical resilience, and even his tactical intelligence could all be the result of thousands of years of evolution under pressure. This theory would explain why Rudy is so different from any other dinosaur in the franchise. He is a pure product of the underground world, a magnificent aberration, a completely new species. And if there's anything that supports these ideas, it's his visual design. Rudy is one of those creatures that stick in your memory from the very first time you see him. Though he's based on a Baryonyx, his silhouette, proportions, and overall aesthetic are reminiscent of the iconic Jurassic Park 3 Spinosaurus, especially because of his elongated snout and imposing stance. But Rudy goes even further. According to unofficial but widely accepted fan sources, Rudy stands approximately 12.8 meters tall and reaches up to 38 meters in length, which places him above even the Tyrannosaurus Rex. His body is covered in bony plates and dorsal spines that give him an almost mythological aura, like a creature ripped from an ancient nightmare. His hind legs are thick and powerful, while his arms are surprisingly long and functional, ending in sharp claws capable of grasping and tearing with surgical precision. His skin, a grayish-white tone, contributes to his image as a living specter. But the most striking part of his face are his eyes, yellow like those of a predator, with red pupils that radiate intelligence, resentment, and an unbreakable will. And that intelligence is not only shown in how he hunts, but in how he thinks. Rudy doesn't act on basic instinct. He recognizes enemies. He learns from his mistakes. He stalks. He calculates. His fixation on Buck proves this. The creature hasn't forgotten. He hasn't forgiven. For Rudy, Buck is the only prey that ever got away, and that's unacceptable. On a psychological level, Rudy combines traits of an alpha predator with those of a methodical strategist. He doesn't charge without a reason. He doesn't roar just to roar. He waits, analyzes, and strikes only when he has the advantage. That combination of brute force and intelligence makes him a lethal enemy. Among his most notable abilities are his extreme physical endurance, his ability to traverse difficult terrain, his brute strength capable of causing structural collapses, and his surprising speed when ambushing. Additionally, his senses, especially smell and hearing, appear to be hypersensitive, making him nearly impossible to evade once he has marked a target. But even the greatest predator has weaknesses. And in Rudy's case, his greatest flaw is also what makes him so dangerous: his temper. Rudy is impulsive. He gives in to rage. His thirst for revenge makes him predictable, and this has been used against him more than once. Both Mama Rex and Buck, along with his allies, have managed to manipulate his behavior through provocation or distraction, demonstrating that his emotional intelligence does not match his physical strength. He is a creature that acts with overflowing passion, and that, in many cases, leaves him exposed. Ultimately, Rudy is much more than just an animated monster. He is a beast with a backstory, with scars, with purpose. A character who manages to inspire fear, admiration, and even compassion, all at the same time. His presence in Ice Age marked a turning point in the saga, and although his screen time was limited, his legacy as one of the most iconic animated monsters remains as alive as the roar he let out before disappearing into the darkness.